38 of The Bigger Picture. The Dream. With Jordan safely home and sleeping in his own bed under my roof once again, I felt I could relax and focus a little more on my own life and what I wanted to do next. My own Reiki therapy practice wasn't really taking off, but the Reiki Share and our private spiritual development groups were going really well. Maybe that's where my focus should be. Then I had a dream. I've never really paid too much attention to dreams before. Some are nice and some are not so nice, but I've never thought too deeply about their meaning. I don't think I dream that much, to be honest, or if I do, I certainly don't remember many of them. I do know that sometimes our guides and angels work with us in a dream state, and I'm sure this is what happened with this particular dream. I still remember it to this day, so it must have been significant. In the dream, I had nipped down to my local Sainsbury's to get a few bits and pieces, but when I came out, I couldn't remember where I'd parked the car. The car park was half empty, but I still couldn't see it. I used the remote to unlock the doors, thinking that I would see the lights and hear the click open. I heard the click and saw the lights flicker out of the corner of my eye, but when I turned towards it, I still couldn't see the car. I repeated it a couple of times, heard the click and saw the lights at the periphery of my vision, but as I turned, still no car. I walked back towards the shop, and then I found myself on a building site. I knew I couldn't ask the builders about my car, as they would just laugh and say, "Silly bloody woman." As I walked along, the building site changed into a beautiful little alleyway, the type you see in lovely Mediterranean villages. It could have been Greek, Italian, or even Spanish. I just don't know. And then I found myself in the home of a middle-aged couple who smiled in welcome but couldn't speak English. I tried to apologise for suddenly appearing in their home, but I don't think they understood. They just kept smiling and welcoming me. I tried to find my way back out of the room. The man opened a door and pointed upwards. There was the biggest step I'd ever seen. It reached up to my waist, and I knew I would not be able to get out that way. The man went to another door. Although I couldn't understand what he was saying to the woman, I knew he went to get me a ladder to climb up on. The lady told him not to, that I had to get out by myself. I looked back inside the doorway, and at shoulder level I saw 2 rope handles, one each side of the door. I grabbed hold of the handles, and eventually I managed to pull myself up onto the step. Once there, I could see the way out, but it was through a short, narrow tunnel. There was a bright light at the end. I pushed and I shoved and I squeezed myself through, and as I did so, I somehow managed to turn to the woman and said, "It's a bit like giving birth." She simply smiled at me and encouraged me to keep going. Eventually I came out of the tunnel and just lay on the ground, feeling exhausted. Then I woke up. It was all a bit surreal and jumbled, as only dreams can be. But when I began to think about it the following morning, I began to make sense of it. Losing the car is unlike me. I usually remember roughly where I've parked it. But this I assumed to mean I had started to develop spiritually and then stopped. I had something and then I lost it. Using the remote and seeing the lights is rather like the feeling I sometimes have that I know something amazing, a bit like that eureka moment, but then it slips through my fingers and I've lost it and I can't bring it back. I'm not quite sure of the significance of the Mediterranean village home, but the couple seemed to be expecting me. I think they were sent to help and encourage me on my journey. We couldn't communicate, but we understood one another. You don't always need words to communicate. The man clearly wanted to help, but the lady seemed to know that I had to achieve it on my own, find my own way. It wasn't easy to get through the doorway. I struggled to get to the big step, and big steps are always murder on my knees. But then I did have help with the rope handles. Now at that time I'd been questioning long and hard, especially where my Reiki work was concerned. Was I cut out for that kind of work? Was all my spirituality real, or just a figment of my imagination? Could I trust enough to go with the flow? My thoughts went on and on for quite a while. But now the dreams seem to be telling me that yes, it's hard sometimes, but if you put the effort in, you will achieve your aims. The struggle through the tunnel was me being reborn, finally breaking through and making that connection within myself and realizing that I'm exactly where I should be. Now you may say it was just a dream, or you may give me a completely different interpretation, but I'm very happy with my version.